It's a movement. Weeknights, 7 p.m. on WOL.
WOL 1450 AM.
95.9 FM.
Where information is power. All right, let's talk about Paul Manafort. Finally, he got his sentence. Okay, 7.5 years. Now, here's the thing. As soon as they announced his sentence, all of a sudden, New York was like, hold up. We're indicting as well, because you know that Manafort is going to try to get his homie Trump to give him a pardon.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. And for New York to file an indictment, whatever happens from that, he would have to serve. There's no pardon on a state level.
Right.
So basically, he's only due like 2 years.
Well, it depends on how much they convict him for.
Right.
In New York, because he
Yeah.
already got 7.5 now,
Right.
which he will probably only serve.
What you think? 3, 2?
If with good behavior, 68 months, because he already has time in.
Okay.
So he has time served, and then if he
What did he
continues,
serve?
he already served he's been in since last year.
What?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
I missed that too.
I was like, well,
No.
No, this
he
is not
didn't have to-
Cohen.
I
This is
thought-
not Cohen.
You
He's
talking
already
about Manafort?
Manafort has already
Wheelchair
been.
Manafort.
He's been.
Today.
That's
I'm
why
sorry.
he's been in the wheelchair.
Because they beat him.
No, because he already been locked up. He's not used to being locked up. That's why
Dude, are you serious?
I was thinking
I'm
the
dead
same
serious.
thing. I ain't even gonna lie, right?
He already got time served.
way.
So now that with good behavior, he can do 68 months. But excuse
many
me,
criminals.
if he gets pardoned by Trump and New York convicts him, they can get him for as much as 20. We know he's not gonna get that much.
Yeah.
But they'll probably do something lowball, 2, 3, 4 years.
You think?
Yeah, they're gonna just like the feds. The
Lowball?
feds lowballed him. So
I don't know, because New
probably
York's
gonna
been
lowball.
going hard against Trump and investigating. So
You're
I
right.
wonder if they will
You're right.
make him the example.
I'm hoping for that, just because that's why the slogan: is it going to be justice, or is it going to continue being just us?
Just us, yes.
I wish they would give them the serious charges they give people with gun charges in New York.
Or the simple
Right.
things, or like a bag of marijuana.
Or popping a wheelie.
Yeah, popping a wheelie. Oh, you just kidding. I'm done. I'm done for the rest of the night. I'm done. I'm not saying nothing else after you said that.
All right, guys. So, big question for you. This actually surprised me. Who is the world's largest oil producer? If you had to guess for last year, which country?
Popular belief would be Middle East.
Middle East.
Yeah.
You
Popular
would think
belief.
that, right? You, Aladdin? I would think like maybe Saudi Arabia. That's what I would think.
I was thinking that too.
Yo, the U.S.
What's Saudi Arabia's
it's
Middle
crazy
East?
though, but I've been hearing reports that it's been shifting.
To
That-
us,
yes,
because
yeah.
remember Obama had a bunch of sanctions, I don't know, to help the planet, and then Trump was like, smash sanctions, oil cats, do what you want, and so now the U.S. is producing a lot of oil, and so here's the difference. Apparently, we make great oil here, so other countries are starting to prefer us, and then isn't it interesting timing what's happening with Venezuela, and then us last year being the biggest oil producers?
See, the thing about it, we didn't know that United States has actually the sweetest oil.
That's sweetest oil, they call it. I hate that term.
Sweetest?
Yeah, because
I like sweetest. I just don't like sweetest oil.
Yeah, because the
it's
two-
like it's disgusting.
Yeah,
Fruit.
exactly. You wouldn't think of
it's
oil
dirty.
being sweet, but it's only called sweet because it has a lack of or low amounts of sulfur. And then you have Russia and Venezuela are actually exporting more than Saudi Arabia or Iran. Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
And Venezuela is actually, and this is one of the reasons why Venezuela is going through the troubles that they're going through, is because they're tied in with Russia, which is tied in with Iran, which is tied in with China. If they continue their relationship, it puts the United States in a bad situation because they're going away from the dollar. So if they go away from the dollar, that brings our economy down. If they start buying and selling using the euro or another form of currency, then United States economy will continue to drop. It's already dropping, but it will continue to drop. And then United States, okay, wait a second, if that's what you want to play, we're going to start exporting our oil. And then we're going to get the UN to agree that if they continue to use the oil that they have been producing, then we're going to police the oceans where the oil travels.
Now, are we still part of the UN?
Yeah.
So we are,
But
but that's not what Trump wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Right.
what I,
So-
Because he doesn't want to be told what to
'cause-
do, or
Correct.
yeah,
Right.
he
Because
wants us.
I know
basically
he's trying to-
he wants to get us out, but there's from what I have read before, an agreement in place that's there for a certain amount of time, but he could eventually get us out.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's crazy to think that we produced the most oil in 2018, where we weren't producing that oil, and that in 2024 we could be the biggest exporters of oil worldwide.
Where they find all this oil at?
Texas,
So it's not just
Alaska.
but it's not just that. Remember,
I'm
guys,
moving.
is that where you're going? Because if you watch a lot of the just various Native Americans, remember the pipeline? It's been so many protests that people are saying, don't drill
Yeah.
here. This is dangerous. And that's one of the reasons why the Obama administration stopped, because if you make a mistake with oil, it's not like, oh man, that's a spill.
Yeah, remember the
it's
Gulf?
Like, yes.
The Gulf oil spill.
Wildlife
Yep.
just dies. Generations and generations. And so also remember, this is the worst year for climate change, which will get us into trending in just a moment. So to think that last year we produced the most oil, we made the most worldwide in America, and then you see the struggle.
Didn't export it. Just
Exactly.
barreled it up.
Barreled it up,
Barreled it up.
waited for Venezuela.
And
That's
one,
what you think, right?
One,
Yeah.
and then two. What do you think? Okay, what do you think is the number one commodity we would assume is water, right?
In the
Food.
world.
In the
Correct.
world.
Yeah,
Water,
absolutely.
Food,
I
shelter.
think water. Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Now you can't have any of those things without oil. Now you can,
What
but
you mean, like
The
you can
way-
have water without oil?
okay, the way that we produce, that we filter
Pure-
water, that we
filter it.
purify water, the way we farm,
Mm-hmm.
we use tractors and trucks, oil. Even if we wanted to go into solar and the panels and the water, what's the
Windmill?
The
You thinking about?
windmills. To make those, you need oil.
Yes, but you would be producing less oil if you're not utilizing all the oil for everything. Does
Right,
that make sense?
yeah.
Because the other thing is there's ways to, obviously, multiple ways. If you watch any survivalist show, and I know you adverse reactors know this, you can filter your water without oil.
Exactly.
Right? Just use sunlight.
Exactly. But just for mass,
yeah.
the way we've been doing it
Yeah,
so
the
far.
carbon, I guess.
But we don't need to do it that way. It's just the way it's been done. And the way
That's
it's
what
been
makes it
yeah.
frustrating for me when we're reporting things like this, because the new age is to do it better. It's
Right.
not
Should
to
be.
do it.
It should be.
the way you've been doing it.
It should
And
be.
you see all other countries saying we are going to limit our oil, and even states are saying. What state was it, guys, that we talked about? Was it California? We were saying that they wanted to eliminate gas by. It was in our lifetime, like 2030. You guys don't remember this? I'll have to look it
I
up.
don't remember that.
Maybe it was
might
on
be
my
Cal-
podcast.
It sound like
It might
yeah.
not have been on this
It sound
show.
like it would be
But
Cali.
it was California.
Yeah.
Because their goal is to no longer have cars driven on gas, and they set a limit for themselves. So it's interesting.
That should be a national thing or international.
Oh
thing.
my gosh, right. And you're seeing internationally other countries are saying, again, we got to limit our dependency on fossil fuel.
Yeah.
And so I just never thought that in my lifetime from where we were, that I would ever be us talking in a room in 2019 saying U.S. was the biggest producer of oil in 2018. And
What do you think oil is?
where or what?
Like both of you, like what do you think oil is actually? What is
you mean
fossil
the,
fuel?
The fossil fuel?
What is it?
You mean like from the old dinosaurs? Yeah.
Well,
And then it breaks down, and then guys, yes,
It's a combination of
that
of
and
everything.
right,
Everything that's
methane,
living. Yeah,
everything
that's
down
living.
under your earth.
Everything that's living, it will eventually go into it. So it's basically the blood of the planet. So we
I see what
we
call
keep
it that.
Draining
draining
and-
the blood.
Look at so
What is going to happen to the body if we keep draining the
killing
blood?
it. We're killing it, and that's why
Talk
it's
to
so
me.
frustrating to
Talk
me.
to me.
This is like, oh my god, it's just frustrating. Okay, so it's not only frustrating to
it's
me.
funny though because now that we're talking about the oil, they're also talking about with the lack of bees. There was a chart that came out that said pretty much like 2065 that the earth was going to be dry, and that makes sense though,
That
because if
works as
you're draining
well.
you're draining the blood from the body, and there's no bees to help pollinate the world, it's going to be dry.
To replenish the blood.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm not the only one frustrated. Students around the world are frustrated as well.
Well, let's talk about it. Students around the world are skipping school on Friday to demand action on climate change.
Where they doing this at?
Around the world.
I like it.
Around the world.
Worldwide.
I like it.
It's not like, ain't
Worldwide
that
skip
wild?
day.
Worldwide.
It's basically a global climate strike, and it's led by the youth.
I like
Amazing.
It's led by the youth. So we'll have kids from like 90 different countries, 1,200 cities. It's some crazy
It's amazing.
statistics, but it really was started by this Swedish girl who just decided one day she had enough, and she was knowledgeable enough because she was like an environmental activist. So she was knowledgeable enough to know what was going on, why it was happening, and that it should not continue. So she started skipping, well, not skipping, but cutting class to protest every Friday.
And hashtagged it as well.
And hashtagged it, of course. And this is where social media works well. She hashtagged it, and then people start getting behind it and say, okay, well, this is for a great cause, and got behind it. And then they decided, you know what? We're all doing it in our own different ways. Let's come together and show a united front to these politicians and to these rulers of this planet that we call Earth, that we are the future, and you're messing it up for us. You guys are on your way out.
Amazing.
But you're messing it up for us. So to have her start her own personal protest
For months,
to
yes.
turn it into a global stand is beautiful.
And for parents, if you don't know this, it's hashtag Fridays for Future. So this Friday might be your child.
Right. And then they'll be
That's
like,
walking out.
well, wait a second. What you mean you cutting school because of the climate? Mom, you didn't hear about this? Or Dad, you didn't hear about this?
Now you know.
Her name is Greta Thunberg.
Shout out to Greta. And the thing that to me makes this stand out so much is because they're not protesting climate change. They're not protesting to bring awareness. They're saying they want action worldwide.
Yeah. And it makes sense because, it's everything from cutting greenhouse emissions to all government decisions to be tied into scientific research, because a lot of our decisions that are made by politicians, they don't coincide with
Science.
basically.
And then you see politicians now specifically trying to teach us that science isn't real and science is a lie.
Well, we got 11 years as far as science is telling us. If we don't get our acts together, 11 years we will be on environmental critical. We'll be on a critical point where we
It's
can.
irreversible at that point.
Yeah.
It's getting close to that now.
Yes, it's getting close to that now. And then you see the way the weather is,
Y'all see it.
I mean,
snow,
the
heat
floods,
wave,
the hurricanes, not that we haven't had all of these,
tornadoes,
but the amount
intensity.
that,
It's
the
the
intensity and the
intensity,
amount, the volume is every year it's more drastic. So I mean, who knows when anybody that's listening out in California or the West Coast, who knows when that big earthquake is coming? Who knows when that big tsunami is coming?
East Coast
as
Look,
well.
We're losing our entire coastline, and you're seeing the ocean just brush up against us, push us further back. And that's also all the properties that you see every year, more and more properties that were never hit by hurricanes wiped away.
Yeah. But I'm just excited that she is making this cool. It's becoming a trending thing, being on social media and having it be a world stance for the youth. I mean, because, they stand on a lot, but for them to stand on their future, I believe that's, it's a beautiful thing, especially if you got kids. You're like, yeah, I do.
Something you can support.
Yeah, I'm concerned about what their future is going to be. Who knows how long we're going to be.
And that's what's first. I can't imagine being a child at this point, because imagine how frustrating it is for them to look at the adults and say, you're killing us.
Yeah.
You're killing our planet.
Yeah.
You're ruining the life for me and my children and my children's children.
Yeah.
Because you cats will be dead.
Right.
And we stuck with this.
Yeah. I mean, the example of just here in the United States, I mean, the example of the way the political system is being ran, considering who our top cop, our top executive is and his cronies, like one after the other. And right now, none of this is really bringing him in as of yet. Whether it's Cohen, whether it's Stone, whether it's what's our guy today?
Manafort.
Whether it's Paul Manafort. All of these guys have all these different issues, and it looks like all of them are going to prison. And this is his circle, his direct circle. Outside of his kids, like these are
they looking into the kids.
Manafort was his chairman, like the top guy over his campaign.
And he's still riding for Manafort because even today he's saying, what a shame it is that they're trying to right.
I think he's gonna give him the pardon.
He might
well,
if he does.
I think New York thinks that because they show enough was like,
right after it was like, okay,
soon as you get your sentencing, just so you know, we indicting you.
Yeah, because he has so much. If he ever obviously he hasn't broke yet because he's like, I'll sit on this because Trump has my back.
He's sleeping well.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get that pardon. I'm gonna get that pardon. I'm gonna get that pardon. So I just got a couple more months to do. His attorneys were complaining about how that this was, such a political circus because this is a white collar crime. There's no reason why he should get this many years. I've never seen this in the 15 years of a white collar crime getting convicted to this many years.
Meanwhile, let's not forget we had a lawyer tweet out that the lawyer's client was serving 5 years for stealing $100 worth of quarters from a laundromat.
Yeah.
5 years.
Somebody serving time for voting.
Right. Somebody else serving for
me.
being on probation and didn't realize that you couldn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow he stole millions of dollars.
Or remember the principal who took the
the students. The principal that took the student to the doctor. This principal used her child's name to allow this student to have the child unfortunately had mono, and the principal was like, I could tell this seems like mono. You need to go to urgent care and get some antibiotics.
Yep.
And now she's facing time.
And lost the job and everything.
Yeah.
Won't ever be able to teach again. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Come on. If we compare it, if we compare it,
comparing, yeah.
Then let's compare.
Negative.
Well, kind of going back to the strike and the walkout, just to let you know, if you're thinking about joining the strike and you're worried about the consequences, the children are protected by the American Civil Liberties Union. They have a guide on their website that directs students as far as their rights during walkouts and protests.
So that's here in America. So I wonder, I'm sure it's probably something in every every country where they're going to really show up and show out that they should have some form of protection as children.
Yeah.
Because it's happening everywhere. Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, they already been getting it popping.
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Colombia, Venezuela, heavy.
Well, another big story that's been circulating, right? So we're following the situation, I want to say in Hollywood, but nationwide, of this school scandal, right? You got students, some aware, some aren't aware, that their parents are literally bribing and paying for them to get accepted into school.
Ooh,
so
did you hear?
Oh,
she got out today too.
Which one?
The actress?
Did she? Which one?
Which one?
I don't know her name.
Well, was she on Full House or Desperate Housewives?
I don't know.
Was she blonde or brunette? Blonde or brunette?
Does it matter? Listen,
it
does not.
No, because it's two different charges.
I know.
One was 15,000. One was like 500.
Well, listen, I don't know what I gotta get the name of this bond, but literally, she went to court and had this type of bond that she could sign and got her off
without even paying money.
Without even paying money.
What?
Okay.
All right. So
power of the elite.
All right.
So we're talking about power of the elite. We're also talking about extreme parenting, because we were saying, do you cheat for your child to give your child a better opportunity? We were saying that last night. Well, tonight we're going to talk about something a little bit more extreme for parenting, protecting your child. We're going to head to Florida. There, a father brings an AK-47 to middle school. After receiving a call from his crying son. 27-year-old Christopher Freeman set it off.
Not funny, but
You made me laugh. Yo.
I'm sorry, man.
He showed up to the school and was upset, visibly yelling
I'm
and
upset.
screaming. Okay, here are some quotes. You're going to need more than what you got because of what I got. He also said, I want to see the guy who slammed my son. I got something for him. The guy, again, this is a middle school, guys. Anyway, police said that he was on campus armed, specifically AK-47 mini Draco pistol with 30-round extended magazine. He's currently being held on $75,000 bond, but could have his bond revoked because of another outstanding criminal case. That's not surprising to me.
So what was his plan? So let's talk about it.
All right, so he gets the call from his son, Dad, and he was like, I'm on my way with my, we won't say Gat, what would you call this, your Draco?
My Draco.
I'm on my way with my Draco.
Uh-huh.
No,
To
he didn't
middle
use that. He
school.
didn't use those words.
Yes, he did. He's 27.
I got it.
Aladdin.
I got my Dr.
Draco.
Pepper
What
right
are-
here.
what are the
I'm about to
millennials
spice-
say?
I'm about to
What did
put
he
some
say?
spice in your life.
What did the millennials say, Aladdin? You tell
Yeah,
us.
I mean, yeah, it's called the Draco.
Hello?
But I wouldn't.
Hello? Who's this?
I don't think he's I'm on the way with the Draco. Like, what?
Because his son know what that means. He know what it was. He be like,
Well,
uh-oh.
he came and was like, he want to see the guy that slammed his son. Was the guy a teacher? Maybe it was a teacher.
Well, then that's different.
That is different. No. Oh, it was a teacher. That's what Jasmine just said.
If that makes, but still, that's not. Jazz said we got to hear the teacher side, but and I understand that
Okay.
teachers
So
and subs
let's-
go through it.
All right, let's give him
The benefit of the doubt.
The benefit of the doubt. You got me. Okay, so it was the teacher slammed the kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then the student called their parent, Daddy, a teacher slammed me on the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Still, let's make it super extreme. Son, are you okay? Dad, help me. Dad said, okay, I'm coming up to the middle school. It's still a middle school.
Right.
Right? Not just college campus. That's still terrible.
That's still
but
terrible,
you
yeah.
terrorizing school
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
And so now you're probably yelling at the staff saying, where is the teacher
That did that.
who did this to my son? Because I
Right.
got something for him.
What's your plan then?
I'm trying to
Like, what's your plan? What they say? It's me. It's me. I'm the one you looking
But my
for.
question is, I think he was intending to shoot. I don't know if he was trying to threaten him with the
I think
gun.
it was more of a threat. I don't think he was trying
I
to
don't
come
know.
up
I
there
think he was going to shoot him.
because you didn't need to do all that. You need to ask a whole lot of questions.
Guys, he
You-
grabbed the AK, Draco.
Yeah.
I mean,
He grabbed it. He took it from wherever it was,
Right.
brought it to the school.
Yeah.
he was ready for war.
He was ready.
All the way wrong, no. All the way wrong.
I mean,
but you know, the
let's
heat
talk
of the
about
moment, the heat of the moment, you know, he
You a
got caught
parent.
up in his
You a
feelings.
parent. You a parent.
I mean,
Little
something
Zoe.
like that happened to me though. Like
Little
something
Zoe.
literally like that happened to me. Like
It did.
I was,
What happened?
I was in maybe what grade I was in? Seventh grade, and my assistant principal. You know how the assistant principals be like in the lunchroom or whatever.
Monitoring.
Yeah, and so we were acting like seventh graders act. I thought it turned
So
off.
you have the worst ringer, by the way. That's those
in the
ringer.
teapot kettle is going
That's
on.
my people's calling
It's
me
like
from another
scary.
planet.
Yo, all right, go ahead.
So
aliens.
I was in line, and you know people were talking or whatever. So he came over and he yelled and was screaming and getting irate, and so he was known for having bad breath.
No, you ain't talking about his breath.
And so he decided to yell right in front of me. So I was just
So it's
like,
really his fault for having bad breath.
all the way.
Okay.
All the way.
So he funky in your face.
All in my face, and just too close because I wasn't just the one, you know. So he was just he invaded my space with all that badness, and so he said what he said, and telling us to be quiet or whatever. And I was just like, "Oh my God, you about to kill me!" And so everybody lost it, right? Because this is his person. It's not just a
What
substitute
did you
teacher.
exactly say?
Something just like that.
Are you sure it wasn't like get your hot breath out of my face?
It was something.
It's so
I mean,
stinky.
Yeah, it was something like,
was
you about
clear.
to like
A
you
little
killing
gossip.
me.
I'm about to die.
Yeah,
From your breath.
You know, I was acting it out. I was, I was on my acting game with that, and everybody lost it. I mean, people falling down, laughing and everything, right? So he decided to yoke me up, grab me up, and it was a brick wall, like maybe a couple feet away, and he like either threw me into it or punched me, and
Kind
I
of
fell
like
into
pushed
it.
you toward it.
Yeah.
Did he punch you? He didn't punch you. Like
I
kinda
can't
like
remember if it was a punch or a push.
It was like fast.
It was fast,
Okay.
and you know, it was either a punch or a push. Now, I would have typically responded in a similar violent way, but I realized when it happened, oh, this is the assistant principal. Oh, this going really wind up worse for you if I don't do nothing.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah,
I
be
kind of fell.
innocent.
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah,
fell back
yeah.
and was just like, you know, of course I wasn't this size guy. I was small.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were always this size.
Nah. I was actually smaller than my son was. Like I was a regular kid, you know, regular sized kid. So you know, he did that, and I took the high road and acted like, you know, he hurt me. He did.
Is that the high road? But that's the smarter road.
That was the smarter
right?
road.
Like, oh my,
That was-
my neck, my
Oh,
shoulders.
man, oh. And so the kids was like, all the kids was having my back. They was like,
Yeah.
oh, you in trouble. Well, you know how the kids
Yes,
get.
yes.
And so long story short, they called my parents. He was in fear of losing his
He
job.
should have been. You can't attack
yeah.
physically. You have an altercation
But
with
you
a child.
remember back in those days, teachers was putting their hands
yes.
on kids.
Kids were getting beat back in the day.
Those were the days. So he was
Right.
able to slide because he made, you know, they met with my parents. My mother was in the PTA. Like she was heavy in the PTA too. So they were able to come to an agreement that they wasn't going to come after his job. But, you know, he had to do all this other
Some
stuff.
training.
Yeah,
Did
had
he
to do it.
apologize to you?
Yeah, he had to.
That felt nice.
He had to. I was just like, yeah, son, you.
You
Lucky I
slammed
put
me.
these hands on you, son.
Right.
You know? And my boys, of course, after school, he was like, we should get his car.
So let me ask you, that's actually funny. Sorry, I take a moment to acknowledge your friends were thinking about robbing him. But let's say your father showed up to the school with an AK-47.
Right.
Put yourself in that situation
Yeah.
because you definitely feel that an injustice has been done to you.
Right.
Would you feel like that your dad had your back and glad? Like I'm trying to.
Well, what I know now or what I knew then?
Then, as
I would
a
have been like,
child, that's why I'm
yeah, get
asking
him.
you.
Like,
Yes,
yeah, you know, we got to
yes.
see him. And I would have kind of like, after thought about it, I would have been like, well, Dad, why you bring the gun, though? Why you bring the gun? Like, me and you could have got him. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't need to bring the gun. Even
yeah.
at that age, I still
That's
had that
why I'm
mentality.
asking. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I think bringing a gun because your son was reprimanded or even
slammed. Let's take it the worst case.
Okay, worst case scenario,
That's
he was
the thing.
he
You
was
slammed
he was
my
violated,
son.
he was abused, right? You bringing the gun makes the situation worse because now it's hard for you to get justice for your son.
Exactly.
Because they're like, well, what kind of recklessness does he have at home where the father deals with a situation like this by coming up with a semi-automatic rifle? You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm wondering though, reactors, 1-800-450-7876, because different generations think different things. I know gun violence is never okay, and I'm against guns altogether.
Right.
But I'm trying to kind of, I guess, understand the level of anger that takes over.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying a gun to me across the board shouldn't be in the house, especially an AK. You got a child, like, no. To me.
To you.
To me. I know. You
To
down
you.
with that?
To you. All I can say is to you.
All right. So to me, like, no. And then to bring it around other kids, because you might be trying to shoot whoever slammed your child. Now a child
Now
is
you
shot.
just sprayed up the class.
Right. Bullets go through people.
Yeah.
It's not just stopping in
And
that.
goes through walls depending
through
on
walls.
the bullet in
Right.
the wall. Yeah.
And I'm not familiar specifically with the power personally of an AK, only from what, we may have. I've never shot that.
Right.
So I know that will go through, right? Wouldn't it go through body and walls? Or does that
It
stay
can go through
in?
drywall. Yeah, it can go through drywall, depending on the caliber of the bullet.
Are you familiar with the Draco? Mm-hmm. Okay. So
Yeah.
I thought that was just Soldier Boy. I didn't know that was also a gun.
Yeah.
So is that why he's calling himself Young Draco?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
slang. It's slang.
Nice. It's
Yeah.
been so long since
Yeah.
I've been on the real streets. I've just been on parks for a while. Parks in the suburb aren't the same as parks in the city. So anyway, yeah. So that's why he's saying that. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, it's just too dangerous.
It's way too dangerous. Of course, he didn't think it through. He reacted, and who knows if he had something in his system that could have played a part.
And he's 27. Keep that in mind too. That's
Yeah.
pretty young to have a child in middle school. If that was his child in middle school, that's
yeah,
young.
Yeah, And if his inhibitions were lowered, if he had
Like
something,
a substance, possibly.
if he had something in the system, not saying he did, but just if he did, it would have lowered his inhibitions. The actual emotions would have lowered your inhibitions, because it's like if somebody was
Or
messing
just
with your
taking
son
over.
and somebody tried to grab your son at the park, at the suburban park, the most
It's supposed to be
suburban
safe
park,
here.
you know what I mean?
No, but you know what we do
You
experience?
might lose it.
I experienced racism with my son already. And I want to yoke those
At the
kids
park.
up at the park, at the library. He doesn't understand. He's like, Mommy, I don't understand why they don't want to share. I like to share. And so I'm trying to teach him, don't respond with anger, in the sense of just saying, I know you like to share, but not everybody likes to share. But internally, the Southeast in me is like, my name is Danella. I fight kids, C-Lock for Nile.
I fight kids.
You don't want me to go back to the old me. That's what's happening internally. Externally,
You got to think it through.
Yeah.
externally is like, it's so good. But you have to understand, when they don't want to share, we'll do something more fun.
Right.
Internally, I want to choke these little kids.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's like if you're that dad, what is it teaching that son?
That's what's scary.
That
How
I
do you
mean,
His son knew to call him to get backup. The son knew.
Yeah,
Let me get
but
to
it's
a phone,
different kinds
pull
of
out my
backup.
phone and call my dad.
it's
Right.
different kinds of backup. Because he would have been okay if he would have came up to the school, said, I would like to speak to the individual who did this to my child.
So we got to also keep in mind, this is in Florida.
and they
just
say
wanna throw
they,
that
they
out
say it
there.
get wild in Florida.
Gets
Now,
wild in
here's-
Florida, and there's a lot of
here's-
racism
now,
in Florida.
Does the
I don't
stand your
know.
ground rule apply?
There?
Yes.
Well, no,
Oh,
I'm saying
oh.
in this situation.
But
No.
no, because he arrived at a location with the gun.
Yeah, stand your ground is for defense.
Yeah.
That's
so
all. He was
if-
all offense.
If he was with his son and then the son got slammed,
Right.
now it's stand your ground.
Yeah.
But he drove or walked to the school
Yeah.
with a gun.
And then because it
looked
was
for the
out of
guy.
school,
I mean,
a lot
regardless.
of them laws
That's totally
changed.
different.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
At the
Especially
end of
now.
the day, though, I mean, regardless, we know the rules aren't for us. So whether he was in the right or wrong, whether he legally had the gun or not, I still feel that we always have to think a step ahead. Like, we have to think about how I'm not a parent. I can't tell you how to react, but like you said, with the message you're teaching your child.
Right.
On
It's
top
major.
of that, and then you're also putting yourself in a position where now you could possibly be taken away from your child.
For a serious amount of time.
Exactly. So I think, we as, African Americans, we always have to think a step ahead before we
Yeah.
react. Sad
Two,
to
three
say.
steps.
It's
2-3
like
steps.
still
We do.
like that. You always have to think a step ahead. And then you also have to be aware of how not to be perceived as the bad guy in
Right.
every situation.
Right.
Every
right.
situation.
Because even if he actually put his hands on the guy, right? If he came to the school and said, or set up a meeting or whatever, and then the meeting went wrong and he smacked him or something, he still would not have been in nearly the amount of
Oh,
trouble.
no.
And then people would be like, well, I kind of understand,
Right.
the board, they would have been like, oh, you shouldn't have did that, but they would have gave him kind of like
Right.
you shouldn't have did
A
that.
lower assault
You shouldn't
charge.
have. They
Yes.
might not even charge him. You shouldn't
Might.
have did that.
I mean,
But
it's hard to say.
When
You
you
never
come
know.
swinging with
You
the
never know.
thing,
Yeah.
you don't got no choice or
Wow.
chances, because you come there looking to wreak havoc, whether you did it or not. Especially all
And is
these
that
school
gun-
shootings.
So what? They're gonna hit you with a premeditated.
Yes, that's premeditated.
Yeah.
That's premeditated. The other thing too is
But see, is that premeditated? I mean,
Yes.
if he lost it, he's not
okay,
thinking.
so they would have
rationally.
to prove that he's crazy, like he went crazy.
Right.
They would have to prove that he temporarily went crazy. But it's hard a lot of times when there's travel involved and you're black.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
And
No,
you're a
no,
black
I know,
man.
yeah,
A black
absolutely.
And
Man.
a black man is
Right.
like, nah, you did it on
Yeah.
purpose.
No,
But let me
absolutely.
ask you guys, you're familiar with guns. Is the AK like a legal gun?
In Florida, yes.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, because here I don't think it's legal
Yeah,
here.
no,
in
definitely
area.
Yes,
no,
it is. In Maryland?
no.
The Draco?
DC,
DC, no.
DC, that's what I'm saying.
semi-automatic. No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
In Maryland, yes.
All right, thanks guys for clearing that up. Because then I was worried that the type of gun would be a problem for him as well.
Yeah, Florida.
So hopefully it's
Florida,
registered.
Texas, them places.
Do
Certain
you think
states.
it's registered? He's 27 and brought the gun to school. do you think it's registered? If you had to guess.
I must say,
I don't think it is. Yeah.
If he could have had the Jazz was saying if he's a convicted felon, could he even buy one? But
That's
if he
a
had it
good point.
before,
Yeah.
if he had it before, he's not supposed to still.
That's a good point.
He's not
I
supposed to
forgot it.
still have it in his possession.
Right.
But
Dang.
You
He's
know.
going to get hit.
yeah.
27.
Yeah, it better be illegal. It better be like he better have legally purchased it for his sake, because if it's an illegal purchase, like say if he got it after he got the conviction,
right.
then anything you bought after that conviction
Is
would
now
be
illegal.
yeah, will be illegal.
But he could get a different charge if he legally brought it, but it was in his possession.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah, it's not going to be as bad. And every state is different by how they prosecute that.
And the worst part about this is the child has ultimately lost in both ways. This
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
got slammed at school.
And then
now
he gonna
the
think it's
dad
his
is
fault
arrested.
too. It's in his mind. Man, I shouldn't have called my dad. I should have called my mom.
I was thinking that. That's what you think as a child. Because I know for me, like when I had something happen, I know I didn't tell my dad about it for years because I was like, my dad might go to jail. You know? So if you're physically attacked, you want to tell the parent that is the least crazy. But I don't know if you know that in middle school. I did. I was clear.
You knew who not to.
I'm talking about something as an adult that initially happened with an assault. But when I was in a grade school level, my mom was the crazy one. So I just wasn't really talking about craziness in school because I was like, this is way more common than this.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
who's going to show up to this school.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of pressure to put on a child, you know. And I know the poor son is probably thinking, it is my fault. I should have never called my dad.
And it shouldn't be thought of. He should not be thinking right now it's his fault because
Yeah.
he was just reporting on injustice that happened to him, and he's supposed to be able to tell his dad when an injustice happened to him. Now, how his dad reacts is up to his dad. But you know, I mean, we can't sit here and say, oh, he shoulda, woulda, coulda, because we weren't in that situation. But I think all three of us know that.
Something got to stop you from bringing the gun to school.
Yeah.
Something has to
Yeah.
click like
Because you bringing the gun as if he's being currently threatened, like he's like they
even
hold
if he was
somebody
currently
hold-
like
they hold-
hostage,
he was
you
hostage.
still can't bring the gun to school to save your
Nah,
child.
Well, I don't know about all that, man.
They're not letting you through. Yeah, first of all, there'll be a perimeter up. You
No,
suspicious person.
the kid can call you before say the cops was called, right?
I guess
Because all these kids got cell phones and stuff. You know, like
I
Dad, they got to school. You know, they
But
trying
that's
to.
still, I mean, yeah, but even in that scenario, it's still kind of like
But
crazy.
that's you thinking. That's you thinking, having the time
Yeah.
to think. And some of these parents, like I said,
They
depending on
How
what
they
was, and then if
raised,
they
yeah.
had how they were raised, what's in their system, you know, they could have something emotional going on, and it could be it could be a trigger that triggers something
That's
in
true,
your
too.
in your mind. You're like, oh, and just lose it.
Let's talk about triggers for a second because, like, as you're healing, those triggers, you can't ever see them coming. They just happen and you react. Right. So anybody that's been through anything traumatic, and that's the thing, we don't know what the father has been through. And so maybe something did trigger for him. Like, what if he had some level of physical abuse that had happened to him and he was like, not my son.
Right, it's not gonna happen to him too.
Right.
What if it's somebody that was in the military?
What do you mean?
Like if
Yeah,
he,
somebody's
the
in
20,
the military. No, I mean. Not,
Oh, say it again. How do you mean
I'm
the
saying.
military?
I mean, we know he wasn't in the military, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody that the father that was in the military, and you know he hears something about.
Oh,
you know
I
what I'm
got
saying?
you.
know what
I
I'm saying?
got
Like
you
that,
now. I got
it
you now.
Becomes a trigger.
Yes. But this is why people with mental illness should not have access to guns. And I'm not talking about somebody that's like has a tough day at work and they feel anxiety and gets a drug. I'm talking about chemical imbalances. I'm talking about when you're really working on PTSD. And I know everybody's like, this is America. America loves their guns. Everybody has a right to a gun. But the problem is, if you're somebody that is suffering and you have a trigger, sometimes you can't control your reaction in that trigger. And if you have access to the gun, your initial thing is to go for the gun, and that's why you're seeing these mass shootings. People are triggered, angry, shoot and kill massive people.
I mean that, and I mean, a gun makes you feel powerful too. So some people
Yeah,
may
you
not
get your
even,
courage. You get your courage.
Yeah, so
that's
that's
a,
not even,
That's true.
that's just
I'm just speaking on people with mental illness
Yeah,
because
no, I
we
understand
need
that.
better gun right laws.
well, they say alcohol is liquid courage, right?
It is.
So guns is like solid courage.
Metal courage. Oh.
Yeah.
it's a form of courage. It definitely
Yeah, it gives you like
increases.
give a 100-pound dude, give him the
Spilling it.
cojones of a 300-pound guy.
Hey, I mean, it's all in the mental state of mind. You got to know. I don't know how you can tell who's qualified or not.
To
For a
carry.
gun?
To carry a gun.
There's ways you can tell. I think the first is if you have a history of mental illness, you should not be able to qualify for a gun.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
But how do you know if, let's just say, for instance, that I don't have a history of mental illness, but
You could be mentally ill.
You could, but I'm
could
saying
be.
we could weed out.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm saying we could weed out for the people who do have it. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
For the
yeah.
people that we know.
But what to Aladdin's point, say he hasn't been diagnosed, but he really is suffering.
So we need a test. Y'all know we be making rules on adverse reactions. We be making laws.
Yeah.
We got some good laws in place.
do.
We got some amendments.
So couldn't you go through an evaluation before you're
think you
able to
should.
get your gun?
I think you should. I don't
America
know.
not going for that.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's
But,
why
you
we
know.
leaving. We leaving America.
Yeah. Y'all ready? Open up your mind, let your conscience free. Adverse reaction is the voice of the streets. Big Zo in the house.
Curators, don't duplicate us.
Danella's in the house.
Still here, never left. Lit mommy, more or less. Still making snaps.
Young Prince in the house. Wish make a heart